The Way of the Gardener, Lost in the Weeds Along the Camino de Santiago, written and narrated by Lyndon Penner. Dedication. For Carol and Dan, without whom this journey would not have been possible. Image. A map of the Camino Francés route spanning 2 pages with text in Spanish only. The map traces the 772-kilometer pilgrimage route from Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port in the Pyrenees Mountains of France to Santiago de Compostela in northwest Spain, and finally to Finisterre on the west coast of Spain. The map also labels the Bay of Biscay and the Atlantic Ocean. On the top left corner is an illustration of a compass oriented with northeast at the top. Credit. Kelly Laycock. Introduction. It started with a beautiful piece of music. I had been invited to have dinner with my friends Dan and Carol at their home in Calgary, Alberta, and the stereo was playing the most exquisite violin concerto I had ever heard. I asked Carol what on earth we were listening to. "This is Oliver Schreyer," she said. "It's his Camino album." I had never heard of either Oliver Schreyer or the Camino. That was how it began. For over 1,000 years, people have been walking the Camino de Santiago, or the Way of St. James, trail across northern Spain. Aside from the journeys taken by the faithful to Jerusalem and Rome, it is the most popular Christian pilgrimage in the world. Each year, hundreds of thousands walk this ancient path to the city called Santiago de Compostela. A beautiful and frequently difficult route, the trail is nearly 800 kilometers long and takes many weeks to accomplish, as it is traditionally followed on foot. Ostensibly, the goal is to pray at the tomb of St. James, one of the 12 apostles of Jesus, but for most, the Camino is far more about the journey than the destination. Carol had done the Camino a number of years before, but she hadn't been able to quite finish it after she became ill not far from the end. She had decided a second undertaking was necessary, and now that we were talking about the Camino, she asked me if I would be interested in joining her. Not really having a clue what I was saying, I casually replied that of course I would. That was it. Somehow, within a few months, plane tickets would be purchased and we would be on our way to Europe. The great American artist Georgia O'Keeffe, whose work I love so much, once said, "I've been absolutely terrified every moment of my life, and I've never let it keep me from doing a single thing I've wanted to do. Airports give me anxiety for no reason at all. Being on a plane or a bus or a train with so many other people is hard for me. I find having to be social exhausting. What could possibly be scarier for someone like me than going to a country I've never been to a place where I don't speak the language, and immersing myself in an ancient, sacred, spiritual journey with strangers from all over the world for 6 weeks? Nothing. Absolutely nothing could be scarier. Nothing could be more challenging or demanding or hard for me. So when Carol asked me to go with her, I had to say yes. I wasn't entirely sure what I had signed on for, but I was optimistic and curious. For most situations in life, a positive attitude and an inquisitive temperament will get you a long way. This is definitely true of the Camino. I first met Carol in Waterton Lakes National Park many years ago. She and her husband Dan were in one of my wildflower tour groups. I didn't know her, but she knew me. She was an avid CBC radio listener, and for many years I had been doing a garden column for one of the afternoon shows. She knew my voice and my name and introduced herself. I liked her immediately. Carol is in her 60s, but you'd never know it. She has the energy of someone half her age. We became fast friends and remain so to this day. Before the Camino, the only traveling we had done together was to go for a weekend at my friend Shelley's beautiful lodge in northwestern Saskatchewan. Dan is not as strongly inclined towards the outdoors as Carol is, and the idea of walking hundreds of kilometers did not appeal to him, as it doesn't to most sane people. It would just be Carol and me, and several thousand others, making our way across northern Spain. The route that Carol and I chose to travel was the Camino Francés.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?